Welcome back, everyone, to GGN. This is part 2 for this news report today. I'm sure we're going to have 4 parts, but I'm going to continue here where we left off, talking about Syria, and basically we're talking about how this whole protest about hands off Syria is being used as a way to push forward the agenda by the Zionists, which is to, carry out their greater Israel plan, and of course lay pipelines. Qatar will have their own. Everybody has their own agenda, including Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. They all have their agendas. So, including Russia and the United States for laying natural gas pipelines and that. But my point is that they're going to push forward with this anyways, and it makes it look, makes the West look. These Western, they call them democratic countries, look compassionate as they basically bombard and shell the hell out of Syria. You could see Russia just stand aside and do absolutely nothing, but who knows? Like I said, we'll see. But then you had General Dempsey saying that they're not ready for it, and he's advising against it, and that they're actually seeing a bigger strike. Basically, they're building up a bigger launch. It's going to be a bigger offensive if it does take place. Which, like I said, is why Obama went to Congress, not because he cares about the democratic process, but because they have plans for a bigger war. And moving on here, we're talking about Arab countries are going to help pay. These Gulf countries are going to help pay, including Saudi Arabia and Qatar and them and the UAE, are going to help pay billions for the U.S. military strike on Syria. Well, they've already been helping to arm the terrorists, along with the United States, and training them. I'm talking about getting boots on the ground in the last video. They already have boots on the ground. They're called Al-Qaeda, but they've also unleashed these specially trained rebel faction forces, probably mostly Sunni Salafists, out of Jordan, trained by the SAS and CIA and them. So they're already there. So you keep hearing about, and all these protesters saying no intervening in Syria, hands off Syria. Well, they already have their hands. Their hands are already knee deep in Syria. The damage has already been done. That's the main point I want to make here, which is the damage is already done. The fact that there's been how many hundreds of thousands of people killed, hundreds of thousands, if not, at least, it's going to be going up there. Probably when it's all said and done, at least 1 million refugees out of Syria, and most likely they're not going to come back. So they're going to change and transition this country into a what do you call it? Kind of a Babylon, Gomorrah type city. I don't know any other way to put it, but that's what they call it, right? They're democratized. They will be pro-Zionist, pro-Israel. They will be pro-homosexuality. They will be pro getting raped by banks. So, and that's that'll be the end of Syria. Rewrite their history, and they'll kill their culture. The U.S. removes diplomats from Lebanon and Turkey amid threats. So, the U.S. State Department said Friday has ordered the removal of some diplomatic personnel in the Middle East due to security concerns amid reports the U.S. interests could face attacks from militants as retaliation for military action in Syria. I think it has more to do with the possible attack by the Zionists again in Beirut and Lebanon, because they've been attacking them pretty hardcore. They've had some pretty bad bombings, horrific, like Iraq-style numbers, 50 killed, 200 wounded. All right, moving on here, we have troubled waters. Naval forces line Syria's shores. If you want to get the whole gist of it, you can follow, because it's a pretty big article. But it says here that both friendly and hostile to Damascus are building up off the embattled country line's coastline. So it says here that the United States has 5 of these Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers off the coast, which, as Admiral said, is fully ready for a wide range of possible actions. Then also they said here that they have these 1, 2, 3, 4 ships, each armed with dozens of Tomahawk cruise missiles, which have a range of 1,000 nautical miles used for precise targeting. And I saw an article about how Raytheon's going to, if this does go forward, then Raytheon's going to make a killing. Well, this is what it's all about, as they say, the military-industrial complex. The ships are also equipped with surface-to-air missiles capable of defending the vessels from air attacks. And I wondered, you hear about all these anti-ship batteries that Syria has. I wonder what type of ability they have to knock out any kind of, let's say, F-18 Hornets, fighter jets coming from these ships, these aircraft carriers, because I think that's what they really have to be worried about. is fighter jets coming over and just bombing the hell out of them. Of course, drones as well. Also, they're going to have 4 guided missile submarines off the coast of Syria. They're equipped with nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles. So, also, it says here deployed an amphibious transport ship, the USS San Antonio. It also has helicopters and hundreds of Marines on board. Oh yeah, and they also have Marines right around in Jordan and in that area around Syria as well. So, as far as the Russians go, they have a naval base located in the port of Tartus, used to transport Russia's growing number of naval patrols in the Mediterranean. And before this whole thing kicked off, I remember covering this about how they were going to have more ships. The Russians were in the Mediterranean. This part of their new kind of policy. Also China as well. But it says here, many of these reports of these Russian ships are coming from anonymous Russian Defense Ministry sources and have not been confirmed. But it says here, as far as the French go, France has anti-missile capabilities and a transport ship. So, but it goes on here and it says that they don't have any ship-based missiles. So it says here that any attack would come from the air in the form of long-range Scalp missiles, similar to those used in Kosovo. And Italy has 2 Italian warships set for sale for Lebanon on Wednesday. Also, they have a frigate and a torpedo destroyer boat deported from Italy's southeast coast. And as far as the UK goes, they have the Royal Navy's response task force group deployed in the Med as part of a long-planned exercise, including helicopters, amphibious ships. Also, they have a nuclear-class submarine. But also, you had do you also have ships going to Gibraltar in North Africa? So, on the same day, the British media started touting Britain's arsenal of military might, which would be available in the event of intervention. Cameron says here lost a vote of endorsing military action against Syria by 13 votes. Russia sends 3rd Marine ship to Syria. They're sending the naval landing ship Nikolai, Felechenov to the eastern Med. State news agency Interfax said on Friday, reinforcing its presence near Syria. Says by now even a 5-year-old gets what's going on and that Russia will simply not back down. So it says, so why can't the U.S. president? Well, this is how it works, They got the Democrats that are going to support this, the peaceful, dove liberals, war is not the answer. They're going to vote for this, possibly, to attack Syria. Because, they don't want their president to seem weak. And this is how they put leaders like that and put them into a corner. So even if they don't want to do this, they'll make it so that their own party will support this. The neocons will pressure them to support it. So, and of course, the people who helped put them in there, big corporations like Raytheon and Northrop Grumman and Zionist Israel. So, moving on here, it says Russia sends warship with special cargo towards Syria. It's dispatched towards Syria, Navy source said on Friday, as the Kremlin beefs up its presence in the region. Russians actually have an anti-submarine ship there, so that's kind of interesting. China officially backs Russia on Syria and warns military action would have negative impact on global economy, especially on the oil price. It will cause a hike in the oil price, says the Chinese vice finance minister. China so far has been relatively quiet as far as this whole thing goes, but they changed that tune today at the G20 meeting in Russia. So there's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of just real nonsense going on here with all this crazy news. Bringing out this thing about Obama saying, "Well, I didn't draw a red line. The world drew a red line for me," and this whole thing about see, again, it's another way to put him in a trap by saying that, oh well, Obama didn't really mean, he doesn't stand up to what he says. They crossed the red line. Well, no, they didn't cross the red line. Red line wasn't really crossed. It was crossed by the same people that he's been backing, which is Al-Qaeda. So, and of course, this is all benefiting Israel, really, and some of the Gulf states. And my point is that as far as the world Obama setting the red line, he didn't draw the red line. It was Israel. Israel is the one that kept talking about red lines and chemical weapons, kind of like how they talk about Iran and being a nuclear threat. They just pressure the U.S. into everything because they're like this little bully, and and basically they have the U.S. do all of their work for them. And other countries know this, especially countries like Lebanon and Iran and Syria. They're aware of the Zionist influence in other countries, especially the United States. So, I mean, we're not under direct threat from Syria or Lebanon, but they like to make it out to be. Even Iran, to a certain extent, yes, they have some pretty decent capability, but I don't think that we're really at any kind of harm from Iran. But I've seen articles saying that that Iran, if they back us, if they back Syria, if Syria's attacked, they're going to do what? They're going to attack the United States. They're already setting this up. They're already dragging in, the Zionist Jewish-run media is already dragging Iran into this before the strike has even occurred. Remember, what did both Iran say, especially Syria? Syria said it first, and of course Lebanon, Hezbollah. They said, if Syria is attacked, the first thing they will do is attack Israel because they know those bastards are behind the whole damn thing. Okay, I just had to get that out there. So this is being run on Alex Jones's InfoWars site. Report: China sends warships to coast of Syria. The PLA dispatches vessels to observe U.S. maneuvers, according to this telegraphist.org, Russian news outlet. So they dispatched this amphibious dock landing ship, and the vessel was seen passing through the Red Sea towards the Suez Canal, the waterway in Egypt that leads to the Mediterranean Sea, off the coast of Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. It says here they're not there to engage, but to observe the actions of the Russian and U.S. warships. However, it is equipped for combat, has conventional armaments and secondary cannons, which was utilized as part of a show of force and maneuvers aimed at defending the South China Sea earlier this year. But whether it is or it isn't there, like I said before, I've seen articles from last year saying that China's going to start having a permanent presence in the Mediterranean. So why Syria? It's not what you think, and it's not what you've been told. So it goes on here, it talks about a oil pipeline dubbed the famous Caspian pipeline. The objective of the pipeline was to run a natural gas pipeline from Turkmenistan through Azerbaijan, through Georgia, and into Turkey onto the destined Euro-Mediterranean markets, bypassing Russia and allowing, at the time, the European community to be free of Russian natural gas and Gazprom. So yeah, this mountainous graveyard of empires can serve as a purpose of running a gas as well as an oil pipeline dubbed the Caspian pipeline. This was back in the late 90s, so you can see where all of this is going, building one after another. Russia and China closed in on a multi-billion-dollar gas deal from September 6th. So Gazprom and China's National Petroleum Corporation signed an agreement towards a potentially multi-billion-dollar gas deal to China, they told Reuters. Interesting, Russia charges Europe over 370 to 380 per 1,000 cubic meters of natural gas, though China has demanded a steep discount at approximately 250 to preserve a cost advantage that makes Chinese producers more competitive globally. It's interesting. A squabble over prices has prompted China to sign massive gas deals with other exporting nations, including Australia, Qatar, and Turkmenistan, reported Russia Today. So, moving on here, Europe fails to tap Caspian Seas surging gas supplies. So we're just talking about them. European countries are losing out to China in their quest to source natural gas from the Central Asian states. They're moving away from dependence on Russia, and Middle East hydrocarbons was a key energy objective of the European countries in the 90s, and the oil and natural gas resources along the Caspian Sea was an inevitable or vital alternative. Instead, European oil dependence on Russia and the Middle East has grown from 75% in 2000 to 84% by 2010. In addition, EU reliance on gas imports has also risen from 49% to 62% during the period. Some of these EU countries are Austria, Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Estonia, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Slovakia, 60% of their gas imports. Central Asia is estimated to hold more than 11% of the world's proven gas reserves, primarily Turkmenistan, lag behind Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan. So this is why I say, it's going to, all roads really lead to Central Asia when they fight for resources. It's so ironic that all of a sudden, this whole thing, the G20 is being held, in Russia, with this whole supposed standoffs happening. That's why I'm a little skeptical about the whole thing, including hands-off Syria protest. And it sounds nice, competing against monopoly of Gazprom. We're just going to have monopoly for Europe, right? Why can't, this is just the result of corporatism, huge governments, huge banks enslaving people, and consolidation, and basically no competition, right? Iran reportedly pushing for revenge strikes if U.S. attacks Syria. They're going to strike U.S. interests. Again, the individual interest? No. Global corporate interest. Thank you.